Welcome to the Dairy Digest. I'm Dr. Jackie Borman. Today's episode of the Purdue Dairy Digest will talk about the most common flies on dairy farms, as well as some strategies to reduce fly populations. It didn't take long for flies to become visible on dairy cows after a long cold winter. A number of strategies exist to reduce fly populations, including insecticides on animals, in feed, treating breeding grounds of flies, and even using a vacuum system to trap flies. Dairy farms are optimal sites for flies as they offer an environment for breeding and cow manure and waste feed, as well as having animals there as a food source. Fighting and nuisance flies impact the health and profitability on a farm by causing changes in behavior of cows, leading to lower milk production. When the population of flies is above a threshold of about 200 flies per cow, the cows will have reduced milk production because they will spend less time lying down and less time eating, as well as an increased amount of energy cost from having to replenish blood from fly bites. There's a couple of different types of flies. The first one is horn flies. They're very common on U.S. dairy farms. They're most active in the spring and summer and can be found on the back, side, and belly of cows. Horn flies are not great flyers, so they tend to stay on the cow even when they're not feeding. Horn flies have also been found to spread Staph aureus. Staph aureus is a contagious mastitis-causing bacteria. So in dairy herds that have a lot of horn flies, they can have increased somatic cell and increased cases of mastitis. Another common fly is the face fly. They eat the secretions of the eyes and the mucus from the nose, and they're the primary spreader of pink eye. And as the name implies, face flies are going to be mostly located on the face of the animal. The next fly is the stable fly. These are usually located on the lower body and the legs of the cow, and they consume 2 to 3 blood meals per day. Cows with a lot of stable flies will bunch because they're biting flies, and they'll throw their heads and stomp their hooves to try to dislodge these flies. One of the largest issues with flies is that they have the capacity to produce a lot of offspring and that they have a really short generation interval. The generation interval for flies is between 2 to 3 weeks, and females can deposit more than 500 eggs in their lifespan. Horn and face flies lay eggs in fresh manure, while stable and house flies prefer a moist environment that is a mixture of older manure and organic matter. So spoiled feed, leaky waters, and areas where manure build up are perfect areas for these stable flies to lay eggs. So reducing standing water and keeping areas clean on the dairy will reduce this fly population. In order to reduce horn and face flies, oral larvicides work by passing through the manure and then killing the larvae that would be laid in the manure, or not allowing those larvae to fully develop. This only works if the eggs are laid in fresh manure because the larvicide is not effective over time. So it doesn't work in a pit of manure because the larvicide is no longer effective after 7 to 14 days. After a meal, flies may look for a shady area to digest their food. That depends on the fly, but a lot of different types of flies will look for a shady area to digest their food. So spraying the walls of the barn, grassy shaded areas or sides of the barn in the morning may help to kill these flies when they go to rest during the hottest part of the day, and may help with fly control. When using insecticides to control flies, it is recommended to rotate products that contain different active ingredients in order to maintain effectiveness, and to always follow label instructions. There may be some products that you can't use on lactating dairy cattle, so make sure that you follow label instructions. Flies can cost dairy producers money through loss of milk production and reduced cow comfort. While there are many strategies to control flies, sanitation and reducing areas that flies will lay eggs has to be the core of these strategies. Relying only on insecticides is expensive and will only provide temporary relief from flies.